Hello, Alliance Writers Collective. My name is James, and I am here today with Josie Siler. Josie lives in Menominee, Wisconsin, where
Good
she
job.
is a part of Menominee Alliance Church. And Josie writes a variety of things in a variety of genres. So I'm actually excited to talk to her today about her experience. So, without any further ado, let me show you Josie Siler. Josie, say hello and tell us a little bit about yourself and Wisconsin.
Wow, Wisconsin is nice and hot and humid finally. Our winter broke. I am a failed missionary. I put it that way because I grew up in the Alliance. I grew up at Menominee Alliance Church, actually, from the womb. And I grew up wanting to be a missionary. We had lots of missionaries come through our church, and that's what I wanted to do with my life ever since I was a little girl. And so I pursued that. I went to Crown College. I went and got my seminary degree. I did all the things, home service, consecration. I got appointed. Very thorough process, right? A lot of work. And so the winter before I was supposed to go overseas for my first 4-year term, I was appointed to a country in Southeast Asia. My lifelong sickliness took a nosedive, and chronic illness played fruit basket upset with my life and really changed the trajectory of what I thought I would be doing with the rest of my life. And that's no small thing. It took me a solid 2 years to realize that chronic illness meant I wasn't getting better unless the Lord healed me. And He has been doing that very slowly. About 13 years ago, that process started, and I should have been dead maybe 3 or 4 times that I can count. And yet I'm still here, and the Lord has a plan for me. And through it all, He has taught me so much. And that's what I want to share through my writing, is that no matter what our circumstances are, joy can be found because Jesus is there, and that there's freedom and there's hope in Him, even when our circumstances are frankly awful. That's the very condensed version.
Okay. You said that after all of the plans changed to go overseas, that you realized that the Lord still has a plan for your life. And some part of that plan seems to be writing. What has been this is a big question, but what has been your experience with writing? You write children's fiction, you write devotionals for like Christianity.com and crosswalk.com. You've written devotionals. That's just what I'm aware of. What type of writing do you do, and how's the Lord using that?
Honestly, I say I'm a failed missionary and I'm a very bad writer because I don't follow any of the rules that you're supposed to follow. My writing developed because of chronic illness. And so, when I was preparing to be a missionary, we had to have a newsletter, right, to share with everybody what we were doing, to raise a little bit of support. I went on several short-term trips. I wrote newsletters for that. And when I got sick, I really thought that I would just be able to pick my life up again where I had set it when I got better. And so I just kind of paused my life for a couple of years. And that newsletter turned into a blog that helped me process everything that I was going through, my emotions and my feelings, which, as a 25% Norwegian, I think I got most of the stuff your emotions side of that. And they were just so big, and I didn't know what to do with them, and I didn't know how to deal with them. And so my writing really evolved when I couldn't do much else. I was really sick for a while. And so I wrote, and I took pictures in my backyard, in my neighborhood, to look for beauty, to process what I was going through. And through all of that, God just started using me little by little to encourage other people. And the more I wrote and the more I shared what I was writing, it was like I was able to take my eyes off my own suffering and see, wow, there's a whole world around us and people are suffering, even especially maybe those that we don't know are suffering, because like with my type of chronic illness, it's an invisible illness, right? So I look fine. And inside things are not fine. And I look around the world and I see so many people in our churches, in our neighborhoods, in our communities who look like they have everything together, right? And honestly, nobody does. We all have stuff that we are struggling with, suffering with. And so that's what God is using me to do in a variety of ways. Is it's the same thing. It's to encourage people, to give them hope and to point them to Jesus. And he's allowed me to do that through articles and through devotionals and through writing for kids. And my first kids book, Howie's Broken Hee Haw, over here, it was my first podcast interview that I did for that book after it was published, where I realized that I had written my own story and I didn't even know it. I had written my own story of feeling broken and like God couldn't use me anymore, right? Because I was going to be a missionary and I was going to do all these amazing things for him. And then illness hit and I felt like I was broken and I felt like I was useless because there's so many things that I can't do. And yet God sees me. He made me on purpose, for a purpose, just like Howie. And as long as there's breath in my lungs, he has given me work to do. He's given me things to do. And whether that's on a small scale or a large scale, it doesn't change the calling that he's put on my life. And it doesn't change the impact that I can have, because my job is to be obedient to what he's asked me to do. And his job is to take those small loaves and fishes, and to multiply them and to do whatever he wants with it. And that takes all the pressure off me, because I can't do it. And so the results have to be up to him. And he has done so many incredible things through writing and just through trying to encourage other people and really get my eyes off myself. That's made all the difference.
Okay. I appreciate you being willing to share your personal experience with chronic illness, the change of plans, preparing to go overseas. You mentioned a book, Howie's Broken Hee Haw. I happen to have a copy of Howie's Broken Hee Haw. In fact, my copy is autographed. This is part of the Alliance Writers Collective book exchange that we did in over Christmas for those that participated. So I had, I guess when I got this in December, I had a 6-year-old. So he ate this up.
Perfect.
And
that's awesome.
This is really well done. I mean,
thank you.
The publisher that you worked with and the process, the illustrations are great.
Yeah.
The story's great. This is a really well done children's book. I know this is not the only thing you've done, but it's what I have in front of me right now.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about this book and your process, like from inception to publishing and whatever else you have going on.
Yeah. This is quite hilarious, because that book, half of it, the first entire half of the book, was written over the course of 2 nights when I had insomnia. I couldn't sleep. I was laying there in bed. I had this idea a while back for a book about a donkey. I don't even know why. And I grabbed my phone that was by the side of my bed. I opened my notes app and I just started writing. And I wrote just a little bit of dialogue. Really, I look back at that note and very little change between that and the final product. I feel like God was just dumping it into my head and I was just trying to keep up writing it. And the next night, same thing. I couldn't sleep and I'm thinking about, this donkey story, right? And so I wrote a little bit more and then I put it aside. I had about half the book done. And at that time I was in a writer's group and we were talking about different projects that we were doing. And I had mentioned this one and just moved on with things. And someone had once told me, I can't remember who this was, but they told me, if you give people several different book ideas, like if you don't know what to write next, give people several ideas. And then a couple weeks later, go and ask them, hey, remember when I told you about those book ideas? Is there any that you're still thinking about, right? Any idea or concept that stuck with you? And if there is, maybe that's what you need to write about next. And so people kept asking me about this donkey book. Like all these people kept asking me about it. I thought, oh, maybe I should finish this book. And so I sat down one afternoon and I finished the book. And I hired a writer friend of mine, Michelle Medlock Adams. I hired her to critique it, take a look, see what she thought, because honestly, I don't know what I'm doing. I still don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. I mean, I've studied the proper way to write a picture book, but I can't do it that way. I can't break a story down by component. My brain doesn't work that way. I just write a story that I would want to read. And she critiqued it for me. She gave me some advice and she's like, Josie, I think this is going to be your breakout book. And sure enough, it was. And so I had this book idea. And at the time, I was doing a 1-year Building Platform 101 course with Victoria Durstock, and trying to build my platform, get enough followers so that I could pitch an agent. And she started her own publishing company, Endgame Press, and she knew about my book and she wanted to publish it. And so for me, that first book, it was really easy. I hate to say it, but God just arranged everything. And I ended up getting that book published. The illustrations are incredible. And I've had a few years of really good success with that book. It went out of print, I think within a month or so of coming out. It went into a second printing. And God just did some amazing things with that book. And sad part of the story, the book is currently out of print. My publisher let it go out of print. And spoiler alert, good news I can announce is I found another publisher to pick it up. So it's being republished in February with new illustrations, which I've seen some cover examples. And as much as I love these illustrations, the new ones, they're so incredible. And they're so different that people are going to want to buy the book all over again, I hope, because the illustrations are great. But that's kind of my process with that book. It was not a lot of it up to me, actually. I didn't seek out a lot of things. They just kind of came to me, which was a blessing.
Now you have some other news kind of related to this, that this is breaking news for Alliance Writers Collective. What else do you have going on?
Okay, so I signed with Michelle Lazurek as my agent. She's also part of the Alliance Writers Collective. And funny story, I'll keep it short. I was about to walk away from writing. When this book went out of print, I was kind of fed up with the whole publishing world and all the things that you're expected to do. You have to do this and you have to have this many followers. And so much of it, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter, but you won't be published unless it happens. And I just wanted to walk away. I thought it would be better for my health if I didn't have this stress. And Michelle gave me a call and we talked through what God might be doing in my life. And she's like, you know what? Let's just try it again. And I kid you not, the day after I signed with her, we sent Howie's proposal to a couple publishing houses, and I heard back from both of them the next day, which just doesn't happen. And so I ended up signing with Trust and Love Press to republish Howie's book. And I had written a devotional as well to go along with it, Howie and Friends, and Howie meets different animals found in the Bible. And so it's part fiction as they have a conversation, and then part devotional as we dive into the Word of God and learn something interesting about animals. So our goal is to get that published along with the picture book, kind of bundle the two together. And then with that same publisher, we're also discussing a series of picture books that involve Poppy the possum, and I'm very excited about those. And then with the other publisher, we decided, since Howie was already taken care of, we decided to pitch them a nonfiction book idea that I had. And Michelle Medlock Adams always told me if I put up a proposal together to include series potential, even if I don't know what that is yet, just make something up. And so my idea for this book was Joy for the Journey. I don't even know what I did, like 66 days of beauty, hope, and adventure. And then I put in there, if you want to, we could divide the books up and have a different book for each. And it turns out they like that idea. So I signed a deal with Abundance Books. And the first one we're going to do is on joy, 66 Days of Joy, finding joy in every book of the Bible. And starting with Genesis, going all the way through Revelation. So I need to write that book. So pray for me. It's due January 1st, and then should come out the following year. And then a new book every 18 months after that. And I'll have a series of devotionals, which is really exciting for me because we're also going to include some of my photography in the book. And so that's kind of God answering a dream that I didn't think would ever happen, because pictures are difficult to publish. They're expensive to publish. And even if they have to be in black and white, we haven't totally decided on that yet, but they're going to be in the book and they're going to be beautiful. And I'm excited to see how God once again has done it all. He just did it. And I don't even quite, I feel like he's laughing at me because I thought, God, are you done with me with writing? And he's like, oh no, just you wait. And then he just showers me with these lavish opportunities and blessings. And I had a few years there where nothing was happening. I had some books that were under contract. I had some things that were just on hold in the world. And about 3 years of just waiting and not a thing happening. And that's hard, right? Because you're wondering, well, should I be doing something? Am I a failure? Is God just taking this away and this isn't something he wants me to do? But I feel like one of the things God has called me to do is to be faithful in the waiting and to keep trusting him when things are hard and through the suffering. And that the world is watching, people are watching. And if that's all I ever do with my life is to keep praising Jesus when life is hard, that's enough. Like that is a testimony in and of itself. And I feel like people who feel like they can't do anything in life, maybe you have a chronic illness, maybe you're caring for someone who's sick, whatever that life circumstances, it's easy to feel like, why am I here? What's my worth? But even if our worth is simply to praise Jesus, that's why he created us. I mean, that's what Howie learns, that he's made to praise God in his own unique way. And we all have a unique way of praising God. And I think we underestimate that and undervalue the power of that.
Okay. I think it's cool that you have this opportunity to incorporate your photography into some of the publishing. That's because that's a totally different skill set. Photography and writing don't always, I mean, most people can do one or the other, maybe not both. So,
and I was told to stop doing one. I should only focus on one. You can't be a photographer and a writer. You just can't do it when I was starting out. And I said, but God has gifted me, and now in the world that we live in, I use my photography for social media all the time. I don't have to buy photographs. I don't have to use the same photographs that everybody else is using. So I get more reach because they're unique. And sometimes I want to go back to those people and rub it in, but I will not. But all that to say, I break a lot of rules in writing. I don't do things the way you're supposed to do because I do what I feel like God is calling me to do. And sometimes that's not the same as what you're supposed to do or what everybody else is doing. Yet, if we know that our calling is from him, if we know that he's asking us to do something, he will honor that and he will take over and he will be in charge of how it happens, when it happens, and with the results of it.
I think one question that most of our listeners probably have is, what is the donkey situation in Wisconsin? Are there a lot of donkeys in Wisconsin?
There are a few. There's one right up the street that I always look for when I drive by. There's one on the way to Eau Claire that I always look for when I drive by. Our neighbors moved out to a farm and they have a donkey. And so I got to visit that one once. Funny, when I was little, actually, I can't remember if they sold them right before I was born or right after I was born because I was a bit of a problem baby. But my parents had goats and donkeys. in our little tiny small town here. And so yeah, donkeys have had a history in our family.
We okay.
They're so cute.
I'm really taking this off the rails. I live in Philadelphia every day. I live in the city of Philadelphia. Every day I drive past a goat on my way to the church. So there is a random goat
That's awesome.
in Philly. So I call him Jalen. All right. Now you have experience with, like, would we call this traditional publishing?
Yeah.
Right. It's not
Yep.
necessarily independently or self-published. You're signing contracts with publishers.
Yes.
You're working with them to distribute books. I would say half of the people in the Alliance Writers Collective, maybe more than half, have not either been able to or chosen to go that route. What's one thing from your experience with traditional publishing? Like, what's one thing you could tell us that would help a person navigate that process?
Oh, that's a doozy of a question. I think for me, the biggest impact on my writing has been networking, has been connections. Like in any business, a lot of it really is who you know. And opportunities for me have come from that. And that has come from attending a couple of writers' conferences and just encouraging people online. So, like before I had anything published, I was on a lot of launch teams for other people's books, and just encouraging other people. And so, if you encourage other people, if you help other people, you don't do it to get something from them, but when your turn comes, there's this whole mass of people that you've helped and you've encouraged who are more than ready to jump on and help and encourage you. And some of that comes through contacts, reading through proposals, giving advice on that, making connections at publishing houses and agenting. If a writer friend sends, or if I send a writer friend a book to critique or review, and they're like, you know what, this is really good. I know so-and-so is looking for a book that's similar to this. They might know something in the publishing world that I don't know. They could have a connection that they could introduce me to someone. And so I think networking is really, really big. The other advice I would give is to, once you have that contract, reread that contract every once in a while, because I had a lot of waiting. And when I reread a couple contracts later, it's like, oh, I could have done something about some of this waiting. I could have been more proactive about some of the things where they have written into contracts, if we don't do so-and-so by this time, you can do X. Well, I filed my contract away and forgot all about that. And so I just waited and waited and waited until they were ready to cancel the contract or do something. And so I think for me, it's just make those connections, network with other people, support and encourage however you can, and then make sure you know your contract well so you don't get yourself into trouble in other ways.
That's good
Speaking
advice.
from experience here.
Okay, so you brought up the networking idea, and that is a little bit of what we're trying to accomplish through the Alliance Writers Collective, because most of us are writing is not our full-time job. It's something that we do as part of who we are and part of our ministries. So I didn't give you any time to think about this question, but I'm going to ask: how could the Alliance Writers Collective be the most productive network that we can be, considering it's, I don't know, roughly 100 volunteers or loosely connected people?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. Just off the top of my head, I think the book exchange that we did for Christmas, I think that was really fun. I liked seeing, as people posted on the Facebook page, like what books they were getting. And that made me aware of a lot of really interesting books that I had no idea existed out there. So I think just more opportunities to share, this is what I have, this is what I'm working on. Maybe even, hey, this is what I'm working on writing this week, and here's how you could pray for me. This is what I'm struggling with. just those opportunities to connect one-on-one. And if people are near each other, I know wasn't there like a little meetup at council?
Yes.
Some people got together, maybe more regional things like that, or you've had some write-ins. That's really cool. I think just opportunities for people to connect and to say, we need a lot of things, right? We need support. We need help. Providing those opportunities, even through the Facebook page, saying, hey, I have a new book out. I'm looking for a launch team. Who can help me? I need a blurb. Will you endorse this book for me? How can we facilitate helping each other? I think sometimes it's as easy as just providing an opportunity for people to ask, because we don't like to ask, right? We don't like to feel needy. We don't like to say, oh, this is what I need. But when we say what we need, but then also help other people with what they need, it becomes a beautiful thing. And I think providing the opportunity for people to do that takes away some of the awkwardness of, oh, it's me, I need help. Because frankly, I think we all probably could use some assistance.
Well, we hope to be able to provide some of that. So you also have written for, I guess, would you say articles or studies for websites like Christianity.com, Crosswalk.com, BibleStudyTools.com, and others. That's very different than Howie's Broken Hee Haw.
Yeah.
What was that experience like? Did you enjoy that? Like, how did that go?
I did. I loved it. And my favorite, I'm kind of itching to get back at that because I haven't done that for a little while. I need to contact my editor and see if I can get another article done. But my favorite types of articles to write is they would provide like what they call like a share sheet, where it was basically like an Excel document that you could see what articles they were wanting people to write. And then you would just pick one and write to your editor and say, hey, is this article still available? And then for me, I was writing SEO articles, which honestly, SEO still confuses me. Search engine optimization, whatever that is. I don't even know, but that's what I was writing. And it was great because they would provide the outline for me. And so they provided the article headline, and then they would provide a keyword that I had to include in the first paragraph. And then they would provide like subheadings, article subheadings, and I would just do my research and fill in underneath. And my favorite ones to write were on word phrases. So for example, like the joy of the Lord comes in the morning, and I'd write a whole article on what that verse means. But the outline was all laid out for me. And so I really, really enjoyed writing like that because it took some of the plotting, planning process away for me. And I just got to focus on what does the Word of God say. And those were my favorite ones to write, just diving in. And I got to write about the donkey that Jesus rode in, and got to plug my book a little bit. They offered me that opportunity. Why a colt? Why not a horse? That kind of thing. Just articles to get people thinking. And that opportunity also came through a writers group that I was in. One of the other gals in the writers group became an editor for, it's through Salem Web Network. They're the ones who own all of these other websites.
Subsidiary.
And, yeah. And so she became an editor for them, and she's reached out to the writers group we were in, said, hey, anybody can apply. And so I sent her a sample of my writing, and that's how that happened. Because it's kind of hard to get in with them if you, again, don't have a connection. But that's where the joy of networking comes in.
Gotcha. Just a few more questions before we wrap up. Yeah. Who have been some of the biggest influences and examples and supporters that you've had in this journey?
Yeah, that's a good question. I read, this is another area where I break the rules a lot, because you're supposed to write what you read, write what you know, write what you read. Well, my favorite books are novels, thrillers, action-packed. I don't write that at all. That's too big of a topic for me. But so some people, writers who have influenced me, Tasca Lee. I love her books. I started out as a fan, and I met her at a book signing that she had, and somehow the world smiled upon me and we became friends. And she has been such an encouragement to me in my writing. She is light years ahead of me.
I see that she endorsed your
She
book
did
on the
endorse
back
my book. She
right
did,
there.
yes.
That's great.
Yeah. And yeah, she has been so encouraging, and she has offered so much advice and help in the industry. Besides just being a genuinely nice individual, she's been really impactful. Michelle Medlock Adams, I mentioned her earlier. I hire her to any book that I think has decent potential to reach kids. She's who I hire to do the critique. She has published a lot of children's books. And she's the one who told me, I was struggling with this at a writer's conference. Everybody was telling me I had to pick either photography or writing. And she's the one who told me, Josie, you do not. You don't have to pick. She goes, you do what God has called you to do. And she's the one who really encouraged me that I can do what God has called me to do. I don't have to do what those in the industry deem appropriate and acceptable. And she kind of breaks the rules too. She's written in a lot of different genres, and I'm like, well, she can do what I can do it, right? So she's been an influence. My friend Erin Austin, she is the one who introduced me to writers' conferences. She invited me to my first one, and she and I were ministry partners with Broken But Priceless Ministries for many years, and that's something I still work with. That it's just we have a magazine online. It's free for anybody. We have a Facebook page where we encourage people who have. It started out for the chronic illness community. People who feel like their bodies are broken, yet they're priceless in God's eyes. Well, everybody experiences and feels brokenness. So we've kind of opened that up a little bit. But she invited me to my first writers conference where all of these other connections and networking have happened. And probably and then the last one I would say is Michelle Lazurick, because she is the one who told me, let's try again. And she reached out, and she has not just encouraged me to try again, but she's helping me do it. And that has been very encouraging.
It's helpful to have people on our team or alongside of us in this process.
Yeah.
Okay, before we wrap up, I want to give people the opportunity to know where to find you or your writing. So Amazon.com, you can find Howie's Broken Hee Haw, but it's third party, right?
Right.
For now.
For now, yep.
That's coming back.
Yeah.
There's also a book, it's a book of devotionals that you contributed to called Breaking the Chains.
Yep. We just had a second edition come out that's brand new. It has some additional like study questions added to it from the first one.
And then your website is josiesiler.com, right?
Yep.
And you can probably see Josie's name in the corner of your screen, but it's her name.com, josiesiler.com. Did I say that right?
Yep.
Last thing I want to do is get the website wrong. So Josie, I really appreciate you giving us some time to share with the Alliance Writers Collective. This is a genre and types of writing that we haven't had a ton of exposure to in our collective yet. We want to build that. So thank you very much for sharing with us.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. It's been really fun, and thank you for putting up with my ramblings. I do tend to ramble.
That's not a problem. It makes the interviewer look better
right.
if the person being interviewed keeps talking.
My mind is a path of rabbit trails.
All right, Alliance Writers Collective, thanks for joining us. We'll have more podcasts coming soon. Have a great day.